So, obviously this is Kate Glass, who's very kindly graced us with the stage.
Well, there's a big pillar in the middle. Okay, I'll do this sometimes. I'll come over here sometimes.
Don't worry, we call it the guest pace.
Okay, sure.
So we have a special addition to this panel. For those who are deaf or hard of hearing, you can come to the left side of the stage this side. We have an interpreter this side, who I've been explicitly told not to say any rude words at to learn the sign language for. I've been very tempted. But without further ado, please can I welcome to our lovely main stage, Caitlin Glass.
It's so wonderful to be here. I'm really excited to meet all of you. It's been great the last 2 days. You're so kind and welcoming, and Newcastle is beautiful. So, yeah, here I am. I think to best use the time, we'll jump right into Q&A. I only want to talk about what you want to hear about, so let's do that. If you have a question, raise your hand, and he'll come find you.
Also, what I'll be doing is, if you keep your hand up whilst when the first question is being asked, I'll then come over to the next person. At that point, hands can go back down, but when I start moving around again, that's the time for hands to come back up, okay? And I'm also just doing in ahead of time, sorry, can't English, just so I don't run in front of the cameras. So, who's first? You.
Run in front of the camera.
It's the first time, it's alright.
So, if, obviously you voice Nina in My Hero Academia, but if you could have the superpower of any character from My Hero Academia, what would you have?
I wish I knew enough of everyone's quirks in the show to choose one. So I like to make up my own, and, well, that's not true. People often ask the question, if you could have any superpower, what would you want? And I think the ladies in the room can appreciate this answer. I would like to regulate my body temperature, so I would never be hot or cold. So maybe I need Todoroki's powers? Maybe? Yeah. Oh, back here.
What is it like to voice Anna Delos from Black?
Oh my gosh, I'm always so nervous talking about Hannah in a room full of British people. Because being the American playing a Brit. But I really adored the opportunity to play her because at the time we were working on Black Butler, I didn't live in the States. When we got season 1, I was preparing to move abroad. My husband and I lived in Spain for a year and a half. So because I was leaving, I didn't get to be in season 1 at all. And I was so disappointed because it looked like a really cool show. But then season 2 came along, and they'd already used everyone that they felt had strong command of the dialect. So even though I didn't live in the country anymore, they asked if I could play Hannah. And I came out to Texas and recorded half of the show, and then went back to Spain. And then we actually moved back to Texas, and that's when I finished it. So I just felt so lucky to be a part of the show at all. And yeah, she's really special. Technically, she's supposed to be Welsh. I'm grateful that I didn't have to do that accent because I don't know it. So to make up for it, she sings a song. She sings Swogon, which is like a real famous Welsh lullaby. And so I sang in Welsh, but I didn't use a Welsh accent during my show. So that's it. Thank you. Oh, do you know back there?
Do you know when you were playing as Kiryu from Danganronpa? How would you feel like if you were in her shoes, if you know what I mean? How was it inspired, if you know what I mean?
I could not imagine being in her situation in real life. That whole show blows my mind. It's just so the stakes are so high all the time, and I can't. It's so awful. It's so horrible, and everybody really loves it. Blows my mind how much people love Danganronpa. Not that I guess it's so stylized. It has a really neat animation style, so that's what I appreciated the most while I was playing her. Her story and her situation with her father and everything was really so heart-wrenching. So I don't think that I could handle it being her in real life. That sounds awful. Next question?
Are there any famous voice actors that you're a fan of that you haven't met before but would like to meet sometime in the future?
Sure. Most of the voice actors in the States live in either Los Angeles or Dallas or Houston. So I know a lot of those folks, and over the years have been fortunate enough to meet some of my childhood heroes that didn't voice things in anime but were characters in like Animaniacs and shows like that. So like Maurice LaMarche and Rob Paulson, Jess Harnell, Phil Lamar. I have all their phone numbers in my phone. So now like they're my buddies, kind of. That's super cool. I think I would be more interested in meeting the Japanese counterparts of many of my characters. I've not met any. I've met Japanese voice actors before, but no one who has played any of my characters. So specifically, I'd like to meet Maya Sakamoto, who's Hitomi in Escaflowne and Haruhi in Oran High School Host Club. She's also Ciel in Black Butler, but I think she's on the top of my list of voice actors I'd like to meet.
Hi, what's your thoughts on the Levi x Petra ship? Even though it's sunk, it's like still one of my favorite ships.
I love it. I definitely ship Petra and Levi, absolutely. Now, I may be biased because I am Petra, but yeah, I love it. I think it's so bittersweet. It's such a sad one, but I can't let it go either.
I can't.
It's too real. Oh,
Hi. So first of all, I'm kind of a pretty big Full Metal Alchemist fan.
Okay.
It's kind of what got me into anime as a whole, actually.
Yeah.
So, out of the original series and Brotherhood, which would you say you prefer and why?
The original is very special because it's sort of what launched me into this as my career. But the answer is Brotherhood, but because I love Winry so much from playing her in the original, and Brotherhood gave me another opportunity to keep playing her and to see her story go further and have more development, and yeah, so I think Brotherhood. But they're both excellent. They're both excellent. I think neither is better than the other. They are of the same quality and caliber of a show. Yeah. Where's the question? In the back.
Who is your favourite character to play and why?
My favorite character to play and why? It's probably Haruhi Fujioka from Oran. Absolutely. She's just so different. There are a lot of characters. There's so much anime out there, and you guys have seen all of it, I'm sure. And you will notice that there are certain types of characters that appear in every show, and that's okay. And you gravitate towards the types of characters that you like. I haven't really seen another anime that has a character in it like Haruhi. She's so unique, and that's why I love her. Her voice is different, and I mean, I guess they call that character the trap character. You think it's a boy, but it's a girl. You think it's a girl, but it's a boy. So that exists in many anime, but just her and her personality is one of a kind. So that's why she's my favorite, and I would love to play her again any day of the week if I could. Where's our next one coming from?
So the next one, the questionee is a too shy to come on microphone.
Okay.
Asks, how's it working with Bryce Papenbrook? Apologies, names on my
Yeah,
shoulder.
Bryce. He was just here last year, right? Yeah. Isn't he fun? Yeah. Oh man, he's a ball of energy. I really enjoy working with Bryce, though I haven't worked with him all that much. We're in the same shows, but you may or may not know, voice acting for anime, we don't record together. We record one person at a time. So it's not like going into work and saying, oh, hey, Bryce, we're going to record together today. That only happens if I'm the director directing Bryce. And I think I've done that maybe once. And I was just so impressed with his professionalism and his command of the job. He's been doing this a long time, and it also runs in his family. So it shows in how he performs and how dedicated he is. Great question, thank you.
Hi. So you've worked on a lot of projects, you've worked with a lot of voice actors and actresses, and is there any like stories that you remember that really like stick out, any like funny memories that you had like working with everyone?
So anecdotes from my 15 years of doing this. Entertain us, Caitlin, with your stories. You know, I think what's great about being a director is that I get to work with my friends. And voice acting has become not just a job or something I did for a little bit, but it is now my career. So the people that I've worked with for the last 15 years, they're my friends, but they're also my family. So telling stories about them, it's just like anybody telling a story about dinner last night around the table with their family, because these are the people I see all the time. I'm trying to think of something really specific and crazy, because I know that would be super entertaining. I can't think of anything. We're always joking around. We joke around a lot. That's the main one. Clifford Chapin. Do you guys know who Cliff Chapin is? Do you guys watch My Hero Academia? He's Bakugo. Yeah. He's also a director at Funimation, and we're both only children. We don't have siblings, so we have adopted each other as siblings. And so when he gets to come in and work, I'm directing him, or if I go and work and he's directing me, I don't know, we really get each other on some strange level, and we like to make jokes and leave what we call bombs in the recordings for the other actors who come in after us. They're expecting the correct line, and instead they get some joke line. So we try to work really fast so that then we can go back and leave bombs for everybody. Too many to recall, though. Sorry about that. Back here.
What was it like voicing Winry?
So special. I love playing Winry. You may not realize this because some of you could have just discovered Full Metal Alchemist yesterday. But when we first worked on it, it was 2004. Some of you maybe weren't born. Most of the time when we play a character nowadays, we're in a show for 12 episodes. Most shows are only 12 episodes. If we're lucky, we get 24 episodes. Very few shows are long-running things like Naruto or Bleach or One Piece, Dragon Ball, Inuyasha. You can kind of name those on two hands. But so it's very special to think that I played Winry for six or 8 years. We started in 2004. We did the first show, had a few years off. We did Brotherhood. In between those, there was a movie. Then we did another movie. So I think the last thing that I recorded for Winry was in 2011. I didn't play her every day for those years, but I feel that of all my characters, I've spent the most time with her, and I know her the most. So because of that, she's very special, and I don't have to think very hard to get into her headspace or to make the voice come out. So.
Hey Caitlin, I know I've already asked you a question about how when you react to Tony Stark's armor, but there's this other question I'd like to ask you is, I've heard that you cosplayed as Wonder Woman some time ago. and it got me thinking, what would it like for you to play Wonder Woman?
I would love to play Wonder Woman. I didn't just cosplay as her. I had a job as Wonder Woman. So it wasn't one. It's one thing to come to a convention in a costume that you made or you purchased, whatever. But I worked for a theme park in the States called Six Flags, and the first of these is in Texas, where I live. Six Flags over Texas, and they decided one year to go from just having costume characters like Bugs Bunny and Tweety Bird to having face characters, and it was the Justice League. So I auditioned and was cast as Wonder Woman. So for one summer in 2006, I wore a star-spangled bathing suit in the 100-degree heat. That's our degrees, not y'all's degrees. Anyway, so yeah, there are pictures on the internet. They exist. I think somewhere buried in my Instagram you can find a picture of me as Wonder Woman. Because of that, I've always wanted to voice act for Wonder Woman, but most games or cartoons with her as a character, they're made out in Los Angeles, and I don't live in Los Angeles. So while I work out there on occasion, big things with Wonder Woman, DC and Marvel superheroes, those are going to be what's called union games, and I'm not in the Actors Union. In Texas, I don't have to be. So my situation would have to be different to ever have the opportunity to play Wonder Woman, but I would do it in a heartbeat. Thank you. Oh, back here.
Hey,
Hi.
just wanted to know, do you have any inspirations for you to become a voice actor? Who were your inspirations from your time?
I never set out to become a voice actor, which I know a lot of young people nowadays, they do that. Maybe they enter the world of acting because they want to specifically focus on voiceover and voice acting. But that was never my intention. It was just something that happened. Growing up, I adored watching cartoons and Disney movies, and I still do. In fact, I prefer animated content to anything else. So when the opportunity arose to go and visit Funimation, and then that turned into an audition, I took the opportunity. So I can't say that any one voice actor inspired me to go and do it. I mentioned some of my favorites from shows that I watched growing up, but I never watched them and went, I'm going to do that for a living. So I feel very blessed that this has ended up my career.
Hi there.
Hi.
If you could voice one character from any animated series that you haven't voiced yourself, who would it be and why?
I think we answered it. It would be Wonder Woman. Yeah. Because she's awesome.
How about anyone other than Wonder Woman?
Anyone other than Wonder Woman? I'm making a horrible face. Gosh. I'm sorry that I'm spacing out. I don't know. Who do you want to hear me be? Oh, who's that? Pepper Potts? Okay, sure. Yeah, Tony Stark's gal. Yeah, I like her. There we go. Yeah, I like it. Good answer, good answer. Yes.
Hi. Out of all of the serifs in Tales of Zestiria, which do you prefer?
Is Dezel one of them? Yeah, I'm sorry. Sometimes I lose track of the terminology of a show, but Dezel, because of just the relationship that he and Rose have, is pretty special, very special.
When you're going to voice a new character in anime, do you watch the Japanese version first, or do you just go straight there?
We always watch the Japanese first. That's part of the process, because it's very important to us to capture the intention of the original product. So That's part of. I can't imagine doing it without watching the Japanese. Now, we don't have to go home and watch a whole episode before we come in to record, but while we are on the job, we will be watching it simultaneously. So you look at the cue you're about to do, and you get to see your words in English on one screen and the video on the other, and you'll listen to it in Japanese, and you're watching for what their mouth is doing and when they're pausing and stuff, so you know when to talk. And that's your chance to hear it in Japanese, and then it's your turn. But yes, the Japanese performance definitely informs my performance.
Just as a heads up to everyone, I am keeping an eye on everyone who's got their hand up. I'm just trying to be fair when picking everyone out, okay? So do keep your hand up when I'm running about.
This is not wrong, but did you enjoy the stupidity that was freezing when you played Satellizer? Because I know that's one of the stupidest shows.
I've never heard it referred to as stupid before, because it seems ridiculous.
It makes fun of itself in the way it is. So I just thought it would be a fun show to voice actor.
I guess I haven't watched it straight through to notice that it makes fun of itself. So playing Satellizer was just it was such a strange experience, and it is odd to me, but a lot of people really relate to her and like her, and I get just as many female fans as male fans for that show, and I always ask, like, why do you like this? Because I look at it, and on the surface it seems so dehumanizing, but fans tell me they like Satellizer because she had such horrible experiences in life, but she rose above it, and that she wins in the end. So I try to keep that in mind and not be too judgmental. But it was strangely fun, but at the same time, I'm like, somebody drew this. Someone made this. That is 23 drawings per second to make. Oh my gosh. Anyway, okay. Yes.
Quick question before I ask your main one, because it kind of hinges on it. Were you in Pokemon?
Yes.
If there's any character in Pokemon you'd like to voice, like of any of the main casts.
Oh, that isn't my character, but I like my character. I'm Deoncy in Pokemon, so you get to hear her in a movie. And otherwise, she isn't in the show, and in the game, she does, they make computerized sounds. But I really like her, and because it was a movie, she's telepathic or whatever. She gets to talk a lot with the human characters, and I think she's really special. Princess set out to save her kingdom, and she's got a good story. I picked my own character. Deoncy, I choose you.
If you could be any character apart from Harry Bean or in High School Host Club, who would you be?
I would like to be Renge in Oron, because she's crazy. She's the most opposite of Haruhi that I can think of. She's bonkers, and that would be so fun. He ran away. The mic ran out.
Don't worry, I'm not gone that far.
Juice. Oh, he's up there. Okay.
What is your first impression playing Maki from Love Live?
My first impression of her, I thought that she was snobby. Not that she was a snob. My experience with Love Live began as a writer before I was cast in the show. So they had hired me to do the adaptive script writing. And then once I had turned in, 3 or 4 scripts, they asked me to audition. And they chose the characters that I would audition for, which is different from my normal experience. Usually at Funimation, you as an actor get to decide which characters you would like to read for. There's a book full of all the characters in the show, and you have 20 minutes to do 3. So you go, I'm good at this type of voice and this type, and I'd like to try that. But in this case, the studio, not Funimation, it was Bang Zoom out in Los Angeles, they asked me to read for a handful of characters. Maki, Honoka, Ellie, and maybe Umi or something. I don't remember. And while doing the audition, I liked reading for Maki the most, which surprised me because writing for her, I'm like, I don't know about this girl. but I really connected with her on the audition, so I'm so glad that that's who I got to play.
That's good.
What was your experience like with voicing Phoebe in One Piece? Given that before the actual series was redubbed, you played her in the movie.
In the movie, sure.
Which meant you had to go through her role twice.
Yes, right. I actually played Vivi before the movie because we did a video game for the Nintendo Wii, and they had to pre-cast many of the show's characters because they were in the game. Yeah, so that was my first experience as Vivi, but in the game it might be her Miss Wednesday persona. At least the costume is, I don't remember. But I was really excited after the game to know I get to be this person, eventually. And then we did the movie, and I also helped direct the movie. So I was excited even then to know I get to continue playing her, and it'll be a more drawn out experience, because the movie is, truncated to get through the plot faster. And she's one of my favorites. Thank you. Where'd he go? Oh, hi.
Hi. Is your voice work majorly influenced by the Japanese version of the show? Do you choose what voice to use?
Oh, you mean like when we develop a voice?
Yeah.
I'd say if I could give it a percentage, it's probably like 70-30 in favor of trying to be like the Japanese. The difference is that their culture have different what I like to call vocal stereotypes. There's a character type and then a voice that culture expects to hear coming out of a character that is small and cute, or super sexy, or bookish, or shy. And oftentimes those voices, especially if it's a group of, say, schoolgirls or something, they could all have different personality types, but all of the pitches could live in the same place. So if we did that in English, it would just sound like a bunch of high-pitched voices, and you can't really tell the personalities through them. So we mix it up a bit more and think more about real people and what they sound like if they are that personality. So we're informed by the Japanese performance, but ultimately, we're not just putting something into the English language so you can hear it in English, but so that you can experience it from an English-speaking culture. Granted, it's an American one most of the time, but I think you guys understand. Yeah. That's fine. Yes?
Out of Love Live, who would you like to speak?
Out of who? Oh, say that one more time.
Out of Love Live, who would you like to voice?
Well, I am Maki. I don't know if you knew that. So I am Maki in Love Live. If I had to choose someone else, it would probably be Honoka, because I really love her. I love her spunk, and I love her leadership, and she's cool. Where are we headed? Back here.
Alright, well, quickly, you were in Negimo, right?
Yes.
What was it like working with such a huge cast?
What was
that?
Sorry, I got super loud. The cool thing about being in that is that back in those days, 2006 or whenever we made that show, there weren't quite as many voice actors working. So to a director tasked with casting an entire classroom full of girls, some 30-something people, that meant that we got to double up and play multiple characters. So for me, I think I played 2 characters, but I did about 4 voices. So I played a Brit. I'm Chachimaru, who's a robot android with a British accent. And she also has like a normal RP sort of posh accent. And then she has a little counterpart prototype named Cha-Cha Zero that was like a little Cockney thing. And, and then I play another character named Chisame. And Chisame is a secret cosplayer. So in school, she acts like she hates everyone, and then she goes home and she dresses up in costumes and takes pictures of herself and puts them on the internet. So her internet persona named Chiyu had yet another voice. So it was really fun being in that show because I got to do about 4 voices for one show, and that's what I remember the most about it. Yes.
Hi. What was your favourite thing about playing Kid Tony in SunnyCon?
Oh my gosh. My favorite thing, and it sounds cheesy because it doesn't really have anything to do with the story and all that, which was great. But it meant a lot to me to know a couple of things. That I was chosen for the role without auditioning. That hadn't really happened to me before. So I felt very honored to be a part of such an important redub of a really nostalgic show for people. So I was excited and nervous about that. And then I mentioned earlier that I'd love to meet Maya Sakamoto someday, and Hitomi in Escaflowne was her breakout role. That's what brought her into voice acting back in the late 90s. So having played her as Haruhi, which some might say could be like my breakout role, I guess, apart from Winry, it meant a lot to get to go back in time, as it were, and play another Sakamoto character.
Hi, out of all the characters that you played, are there any that you wish got more development than what they have done already?
Characters with more development. That I wish had more development. Right now, I would love some more development from Mina Ashio in My Hero. Yeah, she's obviously popular. I see multiple people cosplaying her, and I have so much fun playing her. But right now she just kind of looks like eye candy. Like, we need some more pink in the show, you know? So that's why she's there. So there's got to be a reason that she exists. The story is so good and so well thought out. So I'm just waiting for that moment where you get to find out what is her deal. Just give me just one episode, please. Yes.
Hello. So you've been in the voice acting and the anime sort of westernizing industry for quite a few years now, and I'm just wondering if you've noticed any big changes since the early days compared to now, whether that's towards attitudes towards voice actors or anything really.
I think the biggest change is in the volume of series that we're putting out now because of demand. It used to be we would get a show many years after it had already been completed in Japan, and then we get to make the whole thing and put it out for you. It still used to be a volume at a time, and then we changed to the entire series because that's how people were buying shows, you know, buying whole seasons of television shows. That was a thing. So we started doing that with anime. And then Apple came along and, well, they've always been around, but like iTunes and putting episodes of TV shows up, so we realized, oh, we have to make things streaming. Then we had to combat piracy a lot more. Fans want what they want as soon as possible. So that's when what Funimation calls simuldubs came along. I don't know how it translates here. I think they have Funimation now for the UK. Is the time different? Mostly it's in that 2 to 4 week range. Yeah, so it airs in Japan, 2 to 4 weeks later you get it in English on a broadcast schedule. That sounds like, well, duh, of course. It's been so hard. Now it's a well-oiled machine. We can do it, we've got it figured out. But to think that